Rest important, better skip few days a week to have motivation back. I used Genshin for this. Nice. I'm still seeing stuff about people playing Genshin, so that's how you know it's like really got people hooked when a game survives that initial like launch wave and it's still got tons of people playing it. Alright, hold on. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go and brush my teeth. Hello, BRDHFYF. Genshin is single player mostly, so online not really matter. I mean, that's almost good game design in that like people can play it even if there's like a bunch of games these days run into population issues where there's not enough people playing it. Oh god, still have it going so fast. For multiplayer, Genshin horrible. Actually, I dislike it a lot in multiplayer case. Is there a reason why? I'm actually thinking about how I want these ship controls to work. How much do I want gravity to apply? Like, should it start accelerating faster when it goes down? I'm gonna try adding a bit of gravity back in. Rewardless, lack of exclusive multiplayer activity, you do everything faster in solo, that's weird. Hold on, let me increase the steering on this. And then let's see how it works when we add some gravity. That's way better control. Seems like the gravity limits it going up. I'm not sure if the gravity is actually affecting it going downwards. Let's see. I just want to see this. How am I, deer bigger than 0. Direction going the other way. Yeah, actually, gravity should be applying. Oh, there we go. So it's the effect that this has is that it's harder to pull up. And that you go faster going down. That actually might be kind of nice. So I think one of the first things I'm going to do is try to get a dust storm particle system going, like I was talking about yesterday. I'm still thinking, I'm not sure how I feel about the gravity. I guess maybe I'll do like -5. Less than Earth gravity. Alright, anyways, I'll be right back. Alright, let's make some particles. I'm just gonna do like plain clouds. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is do multi-scale clouds. Let's do larger like that. I'm just thinking how do I want to do brightness as alpha? I think I actually want to do brightness as alpha. Actually, I think I'll get the pattern I want and then I'll paste the alpha. Save noise texture, single channel PNG. Not like this. What's not like this about that? Ah, that just overwrites the other one. Okay. Imagine RGBA noise where you have same gray noise in all channel. Yeah. Which one looks better? I feel like the well, I basically know the borders here aren't gonna work well. I need to put black borders or something. Multiplying multiple layers of noise, but you can still save it as a single channel. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to save it as grayscale, but it's going to have grayscale and alpha. What if we do this? And then Gaussian blur that. Okay, so that'll make a cube. Or a square. That still won't give me what I want. Yeah. Alright. I guess I'm drawing it by hand. Godot can generate looped noise and save it as texture, as image. Yeah, but it would take me longer to do this with programming than it would to just do it in a photo editor. I think I'm also gonna change like the curve here. There's still a bit on the top and bottom that's going to be cut off. Single button and Godot. Yeah, but I mean, this isn't just a looped noise texture. It's a noise texture that then is like masked with like a badly drawn circle with then another noise texture applied as like the alpha. If Godot also functions as a like node-based image editor where you can actually like combine different things like that, then that's crazy. But as far as I'm aware, it doesn't. Yeah, I still think... I guess I'll edit the curve here. That does look pretty good though. It's almost too circular still. Node-based shader editor isn't a node-based image editor though. I'm just gonna see how this looks in Unity. Oh yeah, I should also do a texture for this. At the moment I could just drop in that. Yeah, whatever, I'll do that later. So this is going to be a challenge. Particles and alpha blending are very difficult. I almost feel like I should do a normal map as well, but let's keep it simple. Oh, particle system force field, that's a new one. Alright, it's been a while since I've used Unity's particle system. That's weird. The lighting almost looks wrong. Yeah, the lighting also almost looks wrong. How do I change it so the billboard lighting I need to somehow make it normal direction. 1 normals will point towards camera, 0 normals will point towards the corner direction of the particle. So I think I want I think I wanted corner direction like that. Okay. Let's try making them bigger. That lighting kind of looks scuffed. But I do think it's better that way. Alright, so now the question is why is there no transparency? Oh, because this is set to opaque. Okay. That actually looks like smoke. Wow, that actually looks pretty good to start. Wow. Actually surprised. So multiply, additive. Oh, interesting. Color mode is different than blending mode. Oh my god, okay. Actually really good looking particle rendering so far for Unity. Let's see how this looks in-game. And you can do some cool effects with like subtractive. I'm actually happy with this. So I want to make, I don't know if I want to make that dust storm follow the player, or just make it a giant thing through the map. I actually feel like having it follow the player is the way most games do it, because then you can do less particles. And you can control it more, because I'm going to be changing the number of particles anyways as you go like higher up. Oh my god. I didn't think about this world space texturing. Oh my god, I didn't think about the fact that it doesn't work on moving objects. The chair now glitches out. Or is the texture is constantly moving with the world. So actually the world space texturing might be really cool for the particles. But yeah, I need to think about this. So this would actually need to be local space texturing, where I convert from world to local space first. Either way, very happy with those particles. I'm gonna make that shader now local space shading. So this is actually nice. I just realized this is actually easier because you get the mesh data as local. I was actually thinking about this really stupid. I was like, oh, I'm going to convert from world space back to local space, but the way you get it in the vertex shader is in local space. So input.normal normal OS, I think, is normal object space. I just realized I don't even use abs norm here. So then here, position OS. That might have just broken it. Seems to not be displaying the texture now. Yeah, I broke something. Maybe it resets that. It's weird actually. You can like see it there. Oh, it's just object space is so small. Nice. That is working though. So I think I'll just leave that texture. So I need to copy these settings so it's the same color. Nice. All right. So now I think I can just attach the particle system to the player and then set the particle system to world space so that it spawns the particles in world space. Hey, our local space shader works. That's nice. And this actually works nicely as a smoke cloud effect. Maybe this is what I'll do when your ship's getting damaged. Alright, let me finish the rest of this shader. I need to do the Shadowcaster and depth passes. Oh my god, I hate the Unity camera sometimes. It's too fast and then it's too slow. I wish they let you change how quickly it accelerated, and maybe you can do that in the preferences. Nope, there's nothing about the camera settings. Alright, let's try making the particle system actually create like a dust cloud. What's the radius thickness? Thickness of spawn volume, 0 to 1. So will that just spawn them in between? Nice. Alright. This is actually going to be really difficult doing dust this way. I'm actually thinking that a volumetric Raymarked effect would be way better for this. Like if I just had the equivalent of like planes, like maybe 30 planes stacked up along the viewport, and then each plane is like additively and multiply blended, or like alpha multiply blended, or pre-multiplied alpha blended. So then you can do like actual Raymarked effects, and then you get proper shadows, and then I can do procedural dust storm. That's probably like the end goal. Yeah, oh no, dust. Dust in video games is famous FPS killer. Oh yeah. Doing it in a way that looks good is so insanely difficult. I wonder how much this killed my FPS. I need to make the dust not pop in. I need to have it fade in as well as fade out. See, this doesn't look great either. Like, I actually think it would be way better to have a Raymarked dust volume. I'm gonna need to get this just right. So there we go, that fades in nicely. GPU can do 500 full screen alpha texture draws with blending on 60 FPS, and then 500 drop FPS. Nice. And right now this looks like smoke, not dust. think I'll want an even bigger texture. Billboard texture for smoke. Billboard particles for smoke. Exactly. It's like, what's the better solution? Because like even this, like ray marking might not even be better than this. Saw a better solution on Shader Toy, tried to implement it. I think I'm gonna need to pre-warm it. Yeah, there we go. That actually might not be bad. Honestly, the issue is when you turn around, the smoke looks thicker. But that actually, I think, will work. The other thing is turning your head turns the particles. I hate that. I actually feel like that's part of the reason the marked volume will work better, is you won't have this head turning. It is working though. It's spawning far enough in front of you. Let me try doing these different so it doesn't turn. I think there's a different way to render it. Oh god. Render alignment view world. Place the camera aligned to world axes or stay local to the system's transform. So how do I do these double-sided now? Oh, these can't have reflection probes. Actually, they can. Oh, I think that's the way to do it. No. Actually, no, that still bends it. I want one where it doesn't rotate the particles. I actually feel like mesh might be the best. I actually think this is good, the way it creates the layers. I think I might need like double-sided or back-sided rendering for that to work nicely, but ooh, soft particles. Fade out when they get close to the camera, creates distortion effect. Perform refraction with the objects drawn before them. How does that look? No, that doesn't really look like it works. Where is render face? There we go. Back. I actually think that's good. That actually gives like a crazy effect of like fog. See, my only issue is as you go faster through the world, I'd need to spawn more particles. And it just seems like the obvious solution is just to not even spawn particles. This actually looks really good, honestly. But like, yeah, the solution doesn't seem to be to spawn more particles. It seems to be to just have layers that are constantly in front of the camera, and then it just like ray marks a procedural dust volume. Do I want to do that? I think I might set that up. Let me try going fast. And let's see if the dust keeps up when we go fast. I have a feeling it won't spawn fast enough. Yeah, maybe it is. It actually seems like it is spawning fast enough. Oh my god, this is actually great. This is actually fine. It's not hurting the FPS. It looks pretty damn good. Now I just need to make it look like dust. And let me see about fade out. It says there's an option to have it fade out when it gets close to the camera. That might look good. So is soft particles a thing? No, it's not in the universal render pipeline. Oh wait, yes it is. Wow. So that requires the depth buffer. That looks way better. Let's try camera fading. I'm really curious. I think I'm actually going to go into VR. I wonder how the performance for this is in VR, and I wonder how it looks. Oh my god, what? It's lagging. Okay. So, I need to add a script that automatically toggles this camera offset when VR isn't enabled. Because it's really annoying for me having to go through and switch it manually. Alright, let's see if this works in VR. Gonna need to launch Steam VR first. Alright, so the FPS is officially bad. I'm actually getting some choppiness in VR now. I'm wondering if it's the particles. I think I'm gonna try raising the update rate. It looks good, but there is definitely some choppiness now. It says 120 FPS. It is good according to the Unity editor. You were right, Nomori. Dust particles, killing frame rate, classic. I actually can't figure out where I am because of all this dust. Here's a rock. Oh god, that's a rock. I can't see shit, dude. Oh, here we go. There's the coins. Ow. Uh So while I made it faster, I didn't give it responsive enough control. Because I cannot collect these coins. Honestly, though, it's working pretty well. Like, I was actually thinking that was I was gonna launch that, and it was just gonna like there's gonna be something wrong with VR. Particles with alpha blending always kill performance. That's true. I don't think it even has any sorting on it or anything that's expensive though. We'll see. Okay, so now I'm fairly certain that's what's killing the FPS. So, oh god, I didn't mean to build. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove that particle system and see if the FPS is still bad. Oh my god, I'm outside of the ship. Uh, uh. Alright, the FPS is good now. It was 100% the particle system. So this is why I need to lock the position to the chair. In VR. So that the camera doesn't go flying into the middle of nowhere. There we go. I want to see if I just gave it good enough controls that I can grab these coins. Oh yeah, actually, much better. It's still kind of tricky doing the turning because it has the drag. I'm gonna try giving it even more turning. I don't know why, but my hard drive is going crazy. Like something is writing to it. I the only thing that's reading or writing is the Windows event log and the system. But why would they be accessing my hard drive that doesn't even have the operating system on it? I guess it's like maintenance or whatever. So that should be perfect turning now. I think I still need to maybe increase the steer sensitivity. Oh my god. Well, there we go. That's high sensitivity. Oh my god, controller. Controller is actually kind of helpful here. Alright, so what I've learned is that turning fast is actually really difficult. As soon as you have a little bit of drag. And this is what it's like aiming on a controller. So I'm going to try to find some options with the particle system to optimize it. After I get this steering working properly. No, it's still really hard to get. I'm just thinking if there is a way to do better steering. I think this delay here, like this system is always going to cause a little bit of a delay. So first of all, let's try doing billboard instead of mesh. So where's rotation? Start rotation, here we go. 3D start rotation. So I want them to stop going all the same direction like that. So what if we do 360, 360? Does that make them all different directions? Alright. So let's see how much better FPS that is. Okay, well, I got some bad temporal reprojection right here. And I think that's because of my, the way I'm locking the position. So far, it's, the FPS is way better, but my impression is that it looks worse. It doesn't look nearly as good as the cubes. It looks like a bunch of rotated billboards. Which is exactly what it is. Maybe I just need more. Or maybe I need to render it double-sided. I'm going to try disabling this and see if it makes the temporal reprojection better. Yeah, it did. The billboards still don't look good though. Yeah, the mesh definitely looks better. So this is a predicament. I guess I'll just use cubes because it looks way better. And then I'll try lowering the number of particles. See if that makes it any more efficient. I can also try toggling things like the soft particles, etc. Let's see if the FPS gets bad again. I have a feeling it will be. Yeah, the FPS is still choppy. So I actually think rotating them isn't good. Maybe. It's hard to tell. One thing I know is that turning really quickly in VR gives me motion sickness. So I definitely can't have you turn too quickly. God, it's so hard to get. Give me the coin. Give me the coin. So I felt like performance was a little bit better there. Let's try without soft particles or any of these. Let's turn off, yeah, I guess just soft particles is good. No, still FPS drops. Oh, and I flew out of the influence. Oh, it didn't spawn them quick enough or something. So that's what I was worried about. It might be best to just do ray marking. I think ray marking might be best in terms of performance. Hmm. I mean, performance isn't that bad, but there's these issues I'm worried about, like you flying outside of the dust volume here, and it doesn't spawn in quick enough. Whereas the ray marked volume would be fine. How do I access the depth buffer in the universal render pipeline? I guess I can just look at the particle shaders. Must be possible from the shader. Alright, let me try getting this looking alright with the billboard. So I think I need to spawn more if I want it to fill up more the same space as the cube. Probably like 6 times actually as much. Let's try 60. Oh, this will probably lag way more, but let's see. I'm really thinking I'm just gonna look into a custom shader. Yeah, and this looks definitely worse than the cubes. You know what? The FPS is definitely better. The FPS is better though. But yeah, I don't like the way the billboards look. Yeah. Okay, I gotta think about how I want to do this. So, the issue is VR. VR is gonna be, so, if I want to access the depth buffer, I'll probably want to make a scriptable render pipeline feature. So that then I can access the depth buffer. And then I could do stuff like temporal super sampling, I don't know, temporal sampling. But that's the thing, it's so much work just for a dust volume. But then again, there's so many things in games where I want a dust volume. I do kind of want to figure out how to do a scriptable render pipeline feature as well. Unity custom post process. Used to set camera flags, request depth map. Okay, cool. So create a post-process effect renderer. And then we implement the render function. This is actually pretty easy, it seems. Hopefully. I hope I don't eat my words. The command buffer provided by the context, a blit. We don't use CG blocks anymore. We use HLSL blocks. I actually didn't even notice that. Is that actually changed? I can't believe I didn't realize that. Yeah, okay. Why, like, couldn't they have just scripted it in to replace CG which with HLSL program? I'm actually so confused because CG uses HLSL. Alright, and I'm thinking, is a post-process effect the best way to do this? I think it is, because then I can access the depth buffer and only raymark as far as I need to. The other way to do it would be to literally place like 30 quads in front of the camera and then just use like the hardware depth sorting. So then it's supported on all platforms, even that don't have depth buffer. But like every platform that's running Unity should have a depth buffer. So, I'm also thinking if there's like performance benefits of applying. See, like that's the other thing is it won't technically won't have proper alpha blending if I do a post-process effect. It'll apply the effect on top of transparent objects which don't write depth. But then, if I do it as layered transparent objects, it'll mostly actually have proper depth sorting because Unity should render the transparent objects front to back. It is conflicting. The other thing I'm just thinking of is just going, screw the custom effects. Let's just do the particle system, but I feel like that's not good. I think I am going to do the volumetric post-process effect. Sorry for delay, I found shader I talked about. Well, right as I'm looking to write a custom effect. In SIGGRAPH 88, Gardner proposed a smart way to fake hypertextures with simple ellipsoids. The secret is to have transparency of the density noise vanishing at a silhouette. View dependent based on dot and eye. Yeah, this is nice. Oh. Faced some problems when I tried to implement it. I don't want to waste time. Deepest point inside cloud, it's normal. Ratio of light facing. Optical depth modified of silhouette. This does seem like a really optimized way of doing it. I don't think this covers inside the cloud though. Like with my volumetric dust, I specifically want to cover the volumetric effects of being inside the dust. With this, as far as I'm aware, because it's based off the silhouette, when you go inside the cloud, it breaks down. Or it doesn't look how it should. I want to see the camera, wait. Where is the camera? Look at. Is that field of view? I can't tell if this is decreasing the field of view or going inside of the particle. I think it's just zooming in. I can't figure out how Fabrice's camera is working. I know it's using a look at function, so I thought scaling that would change how far away the look at is. Oh, t minus o times wait, it's divided by, yep, the d is the field of view. Wait. Why is it only dividing 1 by d? So this is the forward direction. So this is the rotation matrix. This doesn't have anything to do with the camera look distance. So the camera position is actually here where it multiplies. Oh my god. Oh my god. Math is legit difficult. I actually don't understand Fabrice's code. What the hell is happening here? So this, like, I'm thinking that this x is actually like z, and that it's the distance, and then position is the x and y, and then it's moving that by the rotation matrix, but or shifting that to the camera relative position based on the rotation matrix, but like, what? I don't understand this. Yeah, I don't think it works though. When it goes inside the cloud here, it just seems to turn really bright white and doesn't really form any volumetrics. I'm not even certain if this is inside the cloud though, because I don't know how this... works. I think O might be the position. Yeah, you can't go inside the particle. That does seem to be how it works. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna unplug VR and stuff while I write this effect. I hate how toggling VR completely like bugs out the Windows 10 desktop. Like, you just saw my screen flashing black. It actually messes shit up in the middle of it. Like, changing where your Windows icons are. That's a really nice technique though, and I agree with what Fabrice said about we should find more middle grounds instead of just like brute forcing ray tracing, which is very ironic coming from me, where most of the shaders I've done previously are just like really slow path tracers. Alright, I'm going to toggle the camera offset now if VR isn't enabled. actually, I'll enable it if the XR settings are enabled. We'll do it the different way. Wait. Why can't I get the camera offset script? Legacy input helpers. I still can't access it for some reason. Unity Editor, XR, Legacy. Oh my god, why is it Unity Editor? Instead of Engine. Okay, there we go. So now that should toggle it. Let's try making this effect now. Volumetric. I guess volumetric fog. Unity Engine .rendering .postprocessing. Wait, where is this? No way. Does this not work for the universal render pipeline? It says scriptable render pipelines. Unity custom post-process in universal render pipeline. Wow, this actually isn't a thing. Need to implement post-processing scripts as render passes. Clouds, I tested that I can draw Raymark clouds in 4 times, even 8 times smaller FPO, then display and upscale when shader logic that hide upscaling may work very good, but in my case almost everything that I win from small FPO was used by upscale, so I did not finish it. Yeah, I've thought about upscaling. I think I'm gonna try to do the temporal sampling before I do upscaling. I honestly don't think I'm gonna have performance issues though, because I'm only gonna do like 16 marking samples. So where's the post-processing? Version 2 uses integrated post-processing solution. Custom. It doesn't give a way for you to create custom post-processing effects though. How to make custom. Scriptable render pass, yes. Custom renders, yes. It doesn't say anything about not supporting post-processing. Huh. In universal render pipeline. Wow. They made this whole post-processing system for the scriptable render pipelines, and it doesn't even work. Clouds are super fast and have Unity implementation. Ah, okay. But this isn't what I'm going for. This is superseded by a new approach. I don't see anything about... Oh, here we go. See Unity implementation. How does this work? What is structured about it? One ray, two rays blended, three rays blended. Seed geometry rasterized around camera to initiate render, volume samples placed on planes parallel to pentagons. Plane intersections require blending multiple rays. I don't understand what this is doing. Billboard particles with optimization. I don't see what that's optimizing. Minimizing aliasing when ray marking, unbounded volumetrics in real time. Sampling the volume from implicit planes located at fixed world space position. You can just dither. You can just apply dithering. You don't need to start the position from like a hexagon or whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is it even called in 3D? A flexagon? So I wonder how to do this now. I'm almost thinking I'm just gonna apply it as like I'm just thinking if I can actually access particle lit form pass, if I can access the depth shader, or if I can access the depth buffer here, I can actually just apply this as like a full screen quad, and I don't even need anything. Like, I don't need any custom post-processing effect as long as I have access to the depth buffer. But this is just like Unity official way to write custom post-processing effect for Universal Render Pipeline. I think this is a question for Discord. This is so weird. I would swear that it supports it. I wonder if there's a way to go back to the old version, like 2.0. Unity engine.rendering.postprocessing isn't available. Unity editor.rendering.postprocessing. Let's try that. No. Huh. Universal rendering examples. What examples does it include? First person objects, toon outline, object occlusion. It does not include what I'm looking for. Okay. Oh, this looks like what I'm looking for. Package adds the ability to create custom post-processing effects for the universal render pipeline. You can already do this with scriptable render feature. I find this to be a hassle. Yeah, and gradient fog is also what one of the things I'm looking for. So awesome, I'll be able to do gradient fog. So I just want to see how this works. I'm not actually going to use this library. Yeah, so I want to see how the scriptable render pipeline feature works. Unity really made everything so much more difficult with these scriptable render pipelines. See millions of files to implement Sinful Future, I want to cry. Render passes, draw full screen feature, draw full screen pass, scriptable render feature, render enqueue pass. Alright, so I guess scriptable render feature is what I'm looking for. Oh my god. Who the fuck designed these APIs? Actually, like, they're so badly designed coming from the previous versions of Unity. Who designed this shit? Oh my god. So let me look at how to do this. It's like, it's actually so much code just to do this simple shit. It's mind-boggling. You know how this person isn't a graphics developer? Because they call a quad mesh or a full screen triangle mesh a full screen mesh. And they don't even use a mesh anywhere. It's just blitting. It's just blitting. I've already talked about before what triggers me so bad about this, but basically Unity went and created, so they had, since Unity 5, like 10 fucking years ago, this command buffer API that provides everything you already needed for post-processing effects. You can lock on and target specific camera events, like after transparent objects are rendered or after opaque objects are rendered. It has like all these blit commands, all the things you would need to do. For some reason, in this new version of Unity, they've made it so that you still use the command buffers, except none of the camera events work, and you need to go through this scriptable render pipeline system that's way more convoluted. it actually doesn't make sense. Like, the way they're designing the API just straight up doesn't make sense. You can still use old Unity. Yeah, that's what I've said. It's really conflicting to me starting to use this new version, getting into it, and then going, man, I should actually just have gone and used the old version. So, like, I'm going to stick with it now. I'm determined to figure out this universal render pipeline and stuff, but, like, yeah, when I tell other people what they should do with Unity, I say that you should use the old Unity 5 standard renderer and use Unity 5 because things were way better back then. I sound like a fucking old person, dude. Like, oh, it was way better back when. Back then we had documentation that actually showed examples of how to use your C# functions. Nowadays, these Zoomers watch a 20-minute YouTube video covering something that could have been in a 30-second paragraph. Actual boomer. So I need to make a scriptable render feature. And then, with that scriptable render feature, I believe I make a scriptable render pass. Yeah. Then with that scriptable render feature, I can draw my scriptable render pass. Alright. Unity creating scriptable render pipeline feature. I swear to God, if they don't have a tutorial on this, okay, so this is from the HD render pipeline, which makes me think it doesn't apply or work with the universal render pipeline, but I actually think it does because this seems to be the same API. Maybe YouTube tutorials may explain more about you look for. Well, there is still something I want to look up. Lucky that Unity's so popular. Yeah, this tutorial is from one of the Unity devs, or this example. But the actual Unity site doesn't really have examples on this. So here's the documentation for it, but it's pretty lacking. It doesn't actually give any examples. These documentation pages are so bad. Like, they actually aren't documenting their code anymore. There literally isn't documentation here. Property value. Description. Empty. The state of Unity is fucking horrible, man. Like, actually, how are they taking this many steps backwards? My God. A bare bones example. Might like to see a short tutorial I wrote. Think it for ages already. Corporations since UE 2.5 just send their core developers to help other corporations develop game based on an engine instead of wasting time to make docs. Yeah. I know PlayStation does similar to that. How do I get depth buffer? So none of this so what I'm looking for right now is how do I get access to the depth buffer? Like, this honestly gives me most of what I need now, how to render a full screen effect. I could already actually do that in Unity just by drawing a fucking full screen quad. So I'm not even impressed right now. But what I need is how to access the depth buffer while I'm drawing a full screen quad. And none of the documentation tells me how to do this shit. Imagine being a big streamer having thousands of Unity experts in chat. I don't know if anyone's a Unity expert when they don't even document their own code. A bunch of the developers don't even understand a bunch of stuff in their own engine. So, and I mean, that's completely fair. The way it's designed is that you've got the graphics programmers and they aren't really aware of what's going on in the input system or the Android build system. And one part of the graphics programmer team might be aware of the situation with light mapping within Lighten, and another side is only aware of the dynamic lighting. Camera depth. I think I'm probably just going to end up just doing a full screen effect and trying to get the depth buffer from this particles lit shader. I'm patting my cat right now. Wait, is this guy setting the main texture manually? Cat love negative energy? Yes. This is actually so crazy though, like, why would I do this and implement this custom thing when I can just potentially create a full screen quad? Okay, I actually don't fucking understand this engine. It straight up doesn't make sense, the design decisions they've made. Hold on. So let me see something. I created like a test custom effect here, and this just applied, did end frame rendering and before frame rendering. What if I just do that here? So let me think about this. I'll need to split at the end. See, the question is this going to be applied over top of the UI? Like, part of my issue with this might actually be that it applies to the UI as well. Hmm. Like, applying this at the end of end camera rendering might draw over the UI. But maybe not. Alright. This seems like, yeah, potentially create on engine. This actually seems like it's going to be another like big project. I bet I'm going to be working on this like all afternoon. But that's the thing, is hopefully once I get it figured out how to just do these post-processing effects, it'll be way easier. Oh my god, though, it's just like, it's so ridiculous how much it takes just to do one of these effects. I'm like, and what bothers me about this is actually allocating render textures each time. Like, this is actually allocating a render texture. I get what it's doing, is it's doubling it so that it can't write to the same texture, but it's like, it's just learning, you know? See, yeah, the annoying part is that I've already learned this for Unity 5, and then they just went and changed a bunch of their API without providing documentation for any of the new changes they made. That's the triggering part. Source texture ID. Destination texture ID. What? What even is this? Like, I'm trying to figure out what a bunch of this code does, and I actually think it's impossible because none of it's documented. What is this settings? What is it even used for? Like, they created this. Oh my god. So if this is supposed to be an actual example, which I believe it is because it's in this examples folder, the dev designed this in a way that it almost is like an API for someone else to use. Like, it's basically an insanely complicated example when it should just be very simple. Jesus. Like, all of this settings, they didn't need to do that. It's literally just made it more complicated as an example. And then this is weird because what a person actually told me on Discord is that the texture is actually read from main texture. But then this says that it's going through destination and source texture, which actually doesn't line up because nowhere here does it actually use. So it uses the destination texture ID right here. But this doesn't make sense. New render target identifier, destination ID. This code legit doesn't make sense to me. So normally the render target identifier is like a frame buffer, but this is initializing it with a shader ID. A property ID is like a uniform index. How is it? So this identifier must actually be like the identifier of a frame buffer uniform, but that's still not the frame buffer render texture that's actually receiving the data. So where is the render texture that's actually receiving the data? Identifies a render texture for a command buffer. Can be identified in a number of ways: render texture or one of the built-in render textures, or a temporary render texture with a name that was created using get temporary render texture. I think that's what it is. With a name ID. It's so ridiculously complicated for an example. Reading Vulkan official tutorials, I had same vibes. I bet this was probably written by a developer who deals with like Vulkan and stuff all day. I wonder if this is the same dev that writes like Vulkan backends and stuff. And then they asked this same guy to write an example for newbies to get introduced to the API. It's no surprise if a guy who reads Vulkan API all day writes this as an example. He said, I'm still struggling with Unity's API. I'm trying to create a custom post-processing effect, but it turns out Unity's own custom post-processing API isn't supported in part of their engine. So now I need to go and figure out how to do these custom render features. It's really convoluted. It is actually really convoluted. I think I might just try to do it this way. Who made this Peppa Hands? Don't you just have to like get the camera frame buffer and use that blip function? So yeah, like the issue is now Unity uses like, so they've made this whole custom render system where it actually like hides the frame buffer from you. So like to use their official system, you're supposed to go through this scriptable render features that then passes you the frame buffer in this rendering context. I like, yeah, I don't really. And so the issue is if I just want to like set the render texture here, um I'm just setting it to an HDR format. But the issue is now there's like I might be pushing out a build on Android that doesn't use HDR, and then at the same time high-end PC desktops I might be doing HDR. What format do I set the render texture to? Unity doesn't give you a way to detect what render texture format they are using, because they assume, I think, that if you are going to do that, then you'll use their custom system for these scriptable render features. Unity is now a compute shaders engine with command buffers API. It's completely different from previous context-based API. I don't know about that. That's the weird thing, though, is that the command buffers is what they previously had in Unity 5, and it worked amazing. It was basically like DirectX 11 and 12 command buffers, except it worked with OpenGL. Like, they just emulated it on OpenGL, where they would just like save the draw calls and lists of commands, and then when you ran the command buffer, they would just run the draw calls and things. Worked amazing. For some reason, they've kept that system while adding on another system that isn't needed because they already have the old system. It actually straight up doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna try just drawing like red to the screen or something right now. As I understand that, they have completely high-level command buffers API. Before they had some low-level integration like some other engines. Of course, I may be wrong. I mean, it is low-level if you're on DirectX. It's just like a regular DirectX command buffer. But then they just emulate it on OpenGL, where it's not accessible. Alright, so this will hopefully draw red over the camera. Or whatever color I make this texture. I think I'll put the dust particle over it. Okay. So now the real question is, does this work? Okay. Alright, nice. So it's drawing the dust particle here over top the screen. That is actually effective. So now what I want it to do is I want it to apply alpha blending. So I'm going to need a custom material for that, I think. Yeah. I probably want to look this up. Unity Blit with alpha blending. I don't know if this is going to work. If it's going to, I feel like it's going to have unbinded the frame buffer by the time I'm trying to do the blending. Alright. I'm gonna go have lunch. I'm gonna think about how I want this to work. I think I might just end up not even doing a post-processing effect and just putting a quad in front of the camera and rendering that each frame. Like, I actually think it's easier to just put a quad, a full screen quad in front of the camera and then apply your post-processing effect with alpha blending on that. Like, that's not even a post-processing effect, though. It is unbelievable to me how bad this new scriptable render pipeline API is. Like, it's actually a disaster. You can't do basic shit in it. It's a disappointment. Alright. I'll be back in like an hour or two. See you around. Hopefully I won't be spending all afternoon doing this. Hopefully I'll get it done pretty quickly. We'll see. We will see. Thank you for watching, though. I hope everyone else is having a good day. I hope you guys are having motivation. All right. Bye-bye. I should be back around 1 p.m. EST or 1:30. I have no motivation. I'm just programming because I have to. That still sounds better than me.